You guys know him well. In fact, he doesn't even need an introduction. Gintoki, one of the most broken single target attackers in all of Langrisser. Although there's a character named Ryo who might say otherwise, but this guy can do so much things by himself, it's pretty ridiculous. Now for his talent. When an ally is attacked, he gains a stack of Soul of the Samurai, which will increase his attack by 4%, and his damage taken is decreased by 4% for 4 turns. And I believe at 6 stars, these two will be at 8%, I believe, and is stackable up to 4 times, which cannot be dispelled. When he reaches 4 stacks of these Soul of the Samurai, he gains the Shioyasha state, which will increase his mobility by 2. And in battle, his damage dealt is increased by 30%, and he will attack first. But when an ally dies, he automatically gains 4 stacks of these Soul of the Samurai. Plus, if he has already taken action on that turn, and if that ally dies, he can act again. Also, his Shioyasha state cannot be dispelled and ignores immunity. And the act again can only trigger every 1 turn. Yeah, pretty freaking busted. For his class mastery stones, the armor you want something like HP attack defense, the helmet HP attack magic defense, and then the weapon and accessory HP attack and skill. Now for his PvP stones, there's 2 that you can probably go for, but I would really recommend one of them. You can go with HP attack always, and then the third one you can go with defense or magic defense, and then the last 2 you want crit rate and crit damage down. This one is more of a defensive kind of set. This is the set that I would recommend the most, but you can do an offensive set where you want HP attack, skill, crit rate, and crit damage increase. You can do this, but I wouldn't really recommend it because Gintoki is going to be one of the more higher priority characters to kill. So him having that extra damage resist is going to be very good. For the soldiers that you want to use often with them, the Stillwing Warrior, because these guys are pretty good at attacking, plus they can survive better when being targeted by a range attack. Besides, they're just good all around. The Sansi Mercenary is a really good one, since these guys can have a total of 40% increase to their attack, magic defense, and defense, as long as there are no allies within 1 block of them. The Phalanx is another option you can do, but these guys aren't really the best for attacking. You mainly just want to use these guys if you find Gintoki in a position where he has to attack cavalries and stuff like that. But if you're looking for a more offensive Lancer soldier, then the Hoplite is a good one. Since these guys are much better for attacking, and also because they can ignore class disadvantage, when you're the one attacking at least. So yeah, these 4 would be your best options to use. But you don't really see the Stillwing Warriors being used a whole lot. And if you watch videos on Gintoki, because compared to the Sansi Mercenaries, which by the way, these guys would be used a lot, and that's because the training ground tech is much better compared to the flyer ones. Yeah, so most of the time you'll probably see people running Sansi Mercenaries and Phalanx. For his weapon, the Mimir is a nice choice, so he can deal more damage if his teammates or if the enemy dies. Plus, he is able to heal a little bit when his teammates dies. Another one you can do, I would say, is the Mjolnir. Since him being a single target attacker and all, he's able to dispel a buff from the enemy before he attacks them. Other than that, any attack increased weapon is good enough on him. For the armor that you want, the Forbidden Defender's armor is a fantastic one to use. The Aeolus is another good option, something that gives him some extra defensive bonus, like the Bloodline armor, because you really do want to keep Gintoki alive, because most likely he's going to be your main DPS. As for the helmet, the Fury Atar, you know it, you love it, but if you don't have it, then anything else is good enough, like the Aeneas helm, which just gives increased stats to your HP and defense. Or you can maybe even do the Carbon Fiber helm, since it can boost his attack and skill when his HP drops below 50%. Lastly, you definitely want the Apex boots for his accessory, because Gintoki will kind of struggle getting around the map, even with his talent form active. But other than that, you can put the Winged Shin Guards, since that will boost his defense when he's attacked. But anything that increases his attack will be good enough on him, like the Bloodthirsty Nail, since that will make him immune to being silenced. For the enchants, I wouldn't really recommend using Clock. The reason I'm using Clock is so that he can spam his AoE and his 3C skill because of them having such a high cooldown. And I know his 3C can automatically be refreshed, but that's only if he doesn't kill though. But you guys can do what I'm doing for those exact reasons, or you can run Breeze, because like I mentioned before, he'll kind of struggle getting around the map. Because his mobility is pretty decent, but he can get around places. But if you're fine with Gintoki's mobility, then Full Moon is another great option. Alright, so with those out of the way, let's get right on into his first Awakening stage. Alright, so here we are, we're going to be facing against Angelica, Kagura, and then Shinpachi. For the skills that you want on him, definitely his 1C skill, which will heal him if you find yourself kind of struggling killing them. And then the rest can be like single target attacks, like Sword Soul, which will do a lot of damage, and Air Slash, so that you can attack them from 2 blocks. But let's say you are struggling killing them, then you could run his AoE skill to weaken them. For the soldiers that you can use, the Stillwing Warrior, you can also do Holy Pegasus to help reduce the amount of damage you take, or the one that I would recommend is this Sansi Mercenaries, so I'll be using them. Alright, so now that you guys know what to use, which I don't think you guys should have any trouble with this, but for those who are, hopefully these tips can help you guys. But anyways though, let's just begin. Now with Angelica, I can see her being an issue because she can change her soldier's type into yours, but if you're strong enough, then you can definitely one-shot her. But I would recommend using Sword Soul on her the first turn because she will heal her soldiers by a lot, which can be a huge pain to deal with. And with Kagura, you guys will most likely be able to one-shot her, no problem. And with Shinpachi, he can be a bit of a pain because of the debuffs that he can apply to you. But with the stats increase when you defeat Angelica and Kagura, it shouldn't really be all that bad. So you can use an AoE to really weaken him, or just use Air Slash to attack him from 2 blocks, and then hopefully you survive being attacked by Shinpachi. And if you do survive that, you can always just heal it. And there we go. I don't think that you guys will really struggle with this one, considering how strong Gintoki is. But I'm just mainly saying all those stuff so that I can help with those who are actually struggling with this. Now for his 3C skill, which does have a 5-turn cooldown. For his passive, after taking action, if he does not deal any damage, he gains idle, which before battle, he deals 0.25 times AoE damage to all enemies within 1 ring, which will only last for 1 turn though. Now for the second part of his 3C skill, it attacks an enemy, but before battle, it dispels 5 buffs from the enemy, and then after battle, he disables all their armor skills for 2 turns. Wait, what? Did it change it for global, or is this a mistake? Because I could have sworn that he's supposed to be able to disable all of the enemy's equipment effects. So yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about. So I'm gonna assume that this is a mistake and not them changing it, but who knows. Anyways though, if this skill is used on the regular enemy, then all the stats is reduced by 25%. Also, the cooldown of the skill is reduced by 5 if he does not kill the enemy with this skill, and the cooldown of this effect is triggered every 2 turns. I'm still kinda shocked from the equipment effect because it's supposed to be not just dispelling all 5 buffs, but him being able to disable all of the enemy's equipment effect. So yeah, I really hope that they say something soon, because I'm really hoping that they didn't just decide to change it for global. And now let's take a look at his skill animation. Alright, so for those who doesn't know, usually with the second awakening stages, I don't do them just because they're always pretty easy to do. I would only show them in a video if they prove to be difficult. And with Gintoki, I don't really think you guys should have an issue with that. But I'm gonna just go ahead and clear this real quick, and I'll meet you guys in a bit. Alright. Originally, I wasn't gonna show this part off, but after some thinking while editing this, I realized how difficult this was. Some tips that I do want to share is that with Angelica's skill, you can summon her puppet, and then you could just have that get killed off, just so that way Gintoki can automatically get his 4 stacks of his talent effect on the first turn. Then the next turn, I would try to kill Gintoki off if we can, but I know Shinpachi will be an issue because he will guard him. So what you can do is that with Angelica's AoE skill, I think it was Ice Missile or something like that, it will give him the mobility debuff so that way he can't guard. I don't think I did that strategy, I'm pretty sure I just brute forced it, but it is something that you can do. Getting rid of Kagura shouldn't be an issue, and hopefully Shinpachi as well. His debuffs can be a pain to deal with, so try using some range attacks to handle him. With Angelica, she's not a huge threat, but she is pretty annoying because of how surprisingly tanky she is. Like I said with the first awakening stage, if you still have Gintoki alive, then you can use Sword Soul on her so that she doesn't heal. Otherwise, just keep on attacking her since she can't do too much damage. And with that, hopefully that can help you guys out with this stage, if it's too much for you. But usually, even if your own characters can't do a whole lot, you can really rely on the other 3 characters to carry you. So if you're still having trouble, you can always keep on trying again and again until you get lucky. That's all I really have to say about this part. I'm gonna go ahead and let the rest of the battle play out just so you guys can see how I cleared it. But yeah, I'll see you guys for the showcase. Alright, so just to recap, for the first part of his skill, the passive, if he does not deal any damage, he'll gain Idle, which will deal AoE to enemies within 1 ring that lasts for 1 turn. So let's go ahead and end his turn and see what that looks like. There we go. So that Toyako symbol will pop up, showing that he'll get the idle effect. Because I am fairly certain that he can get this back, almost always. Now I'm not really sure what the expire after 1 trigger truly means. It does only last for 1 turn, so you would assume that it'll go away after that. Alright, so this is Gintoki's time to shine, so just so that you guys know, he dispels 5 buffs from the enemies and it will disable the enemy's armor's effects for 2 turns. I'm still a bit shook on that part, but who knows? We'll see when he actually uses it, so let's turn battle animation on and see how this looks like. Okay, so... oh, it does disable all the equipment effects. Look at that! Oh wow, so it does do that. Why did it say it like that though? It does not make any sense. Because the translation of the skill made it seem like it would only disable their armor. It doesn't say, oh, like it disables all the equipment effects, but it actually does. But as you guys can see, the trigger for the cooldown is 2 turns and he got that skill back. And I am doing this in AI arena just because it's so much easier to test it out. But if it was a regular enemy, then if you guys were paying attention, it reduces all the stats by 25%. Langrisser does the same thing, but hers does 30%. Oh, look at Gintoki tanking all that. And right there, Gintoki did get all of his stacks right there because of my user AoE skill right there. Okay, so as you guys can see right there, Gintoki did get all of his stacks right there. And what's interesting about this is that it's not properly translated in global as of right now, as of this recording. But what it's actually saying is that it will increase his attack and reduce his damage taken. And since he does get his 4 stacks, he does get his Shiryasha form, which will increase his mobility by 2 and does 30% more increased damage dealt, and is able to attack before the enemy. So let's go ahead and use this again. So hopefully this one will kill. Most likely this one will kill. There we go. And look at that, disable all the equipment effects. And in case you guys didn't see it earlier, the way how the cooldown looks for the skill is that it will show his 3C symbol, his 3C icon. And one thing about his idle form is that that thing actually can do quite a bit of damage. And you can get it back pretty quick too. And I want to show you guys real quick that even if he does get the kill, it won't be refreshed. So unless he somehow triggers clock, yeah, it doesn't refresh. So yeah, his 3C can be really good to just wear down the enemy tanks. But if the enemy does have someone like Wizentio, and I'm pretty sure the debuffs can be blocked off by like Gospel, it can make it so that they don't get all their equipment effects be disabled. That's just something to note. But if you do end up getting it onto the enemy, then they'll have to wait 2 turns so that it can wear off. But other than that, I'm pretty sure this 3C is pretty self-explanatory. Like even on paper alone, is just enough to make you go, wow, that's freaking OP. And there we have it. That was Gintoki's 3C showcase. I didn't really go too much into it because I'm fairly certain that you guys understand how amazing this skill is. And I'm gonna let you guys in on a little tip right here. Because with the passive on this 3C that you can get idle, what you can do is that you can use his 1C skill, which will allow him to act again. And by using the skill, he can get the idle effect. So what that means is that you can make it so that he can always AoE, so that he can weaken the enemies, so that he can have a sure chance of being able to kill them and damage those all around. But other than that, I don't really have much to say about Gintoki. He's literally like the perfect character in all of Langrisser. If you get him, he's literally perfect for both PvE and PvP. And if you guys are new, I highly recommend getting Gintoki, because I can say for certain is that if you get him, he'll be your main DPS for a very long time. Like this guy will carry you all the way to endgame content. So yeah, if you guys are thinking about summoning on his banner, just do it. You guys won't regret it if you do. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And let me know down in the comments if you guys were able to pull for Gintoki. And I wish you guys the best on getting him, because who knows if they are going to come back or not. But yeah, thanks for watching, your fellow